Good morning, everybody. This is what date is today? This is Monday. This is Valentine's Day. Wow, it just dawned on me that today is Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2022. And today I have the pleasure of doing our Mondays live at 11 with Soozy Miller from Long Island, New York. So welcome, Soozy. It's good to
Thank
have you
you.
here.
So good to be here. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Exactly. So today we're going to get into something very different than the kind of stuff that we normally do. Let me start by reading Susie's bio. And oh, by the way, just so you know, this is how to refer to, that's how you spell her name. Exactly. And if you want to get her digital business card, you simply text the word careers to 21,000. And of course, to get mine, you text Gabe to 21,000. So start right off with that. But Soozy Miller is a certified professional resume writer, a certified DISC behavior analyst, a member of the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches, a member of recruiter and career coach groups, and a recruiting consultant. Executives who follow her methodology land at least one interview in 1 week and at least one job offer within 3 months. Part of her coaching includes assessing leadership skills and soft skills, which help executives be better leaders at that next job. So very good. Well, welcome, Susie. It's good to again. It's good to have you here.
Thank
Um,
you.
this is a subject that I know very little about. It has been when was the last time I interviewed for a job? It's been, well, I had a job for 16 years in Maryland, and then that led me here where I started my own company. So it's been a long time. um, but I do remember, I'm in tech, so as a software developer, I do remember from time to time dealing with recruiters and having to interview with them. And I don't know, do you work with people who go to recruiters? Is that the same thing, or do you steer them
I
away from
talk
them?
to recruiters. I talk to recruiters. I'm in recruiter groups on LinkedIn and Facebook. So I talk to them about trends and I talk to them about their experiences and what they're looking for. But I'm not a recruiter in that I don't work with a specific company and I don't direct people to a specific place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will reach out occasionally if there's a special situation and there's a recruiter I've just talked to about about a specific opening and I know they've
Right.
fit. Occasionally I've made that introduction, but my
Right.
real job is just getting the person ready for that job search.
Now, let me ask you a question. So you've got some questions that are kind of get to the meat of it, but I have my own
Go ahead.
questions that I want to ask. So just based on that, now, if you are talking to a client, do you tell them? Do you send? Oh, I know you don't send them to any particular recruiters, but is it your thing to say, well, you should talk to a recruiter, or would you rather them go to specific jobs? Let's put it that way.
Well, recruiters can definitely help, and that's where networking on LinkedIn comes in.
Hmm.
So you can get to know recruiters, you can do that networking, you can talk to people and get to know where the recruiters are in the industry that you want to be in. But the first step really is to create a LinkedIn profile and or a resume. That's where you should really start because with my coaching, with some coaching, you learn to demonstrate your value add. You learn to demonstrate what's unique about yourself and your
Hmm.
particular experience. And then
Hmm.
you can bring that to conversations when you meet recruiters.
Okay. Yeah. The only reason why I talk about them is because I did not like recruiters at all.
They have a little bit of a bad rep right now in that they have reputation as being a little salesy, which I understand. You have to understand that, but though recruiting is a very difficult job. First of all, it's
Mhm.
very long hours. And now that there are so many people that have left their jobs and there are a lot of job openings, they're looking at stacks and stacks of mostly badly written resumes.
Right.
Not only do they have to read the resume, they have to read between the lines to see if the person can really is okay for an interview.
I
So it's a
got you.
really hard job.
No, I don't feel sorry for them. And the only reason for that is because when I would work with them, they were, if you didn't check the boxes, like this,
Yeah.
you didn't have that, and now you're
Right.
out, and they would not. I mean, and if they put you in one interview and you didn't get it, they wouldn't call you back.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, they
other
have
thing.
to be specific because remember the company or the hiring manager or the HR is looking at them going,
No,
so.
no,
Yeah.
I get all that. I just didn't like that whole process because for me, if for me, getting having that job, I would have been able to figure anything out, and I would have been a better employee than anybody that they would have hired anyway. But that's just I'm just getting my rant out first. We'll get that we'll get that out of the way. Um, but well, speaking of what's going on though, how has I mean you're what you do is you guide executives, right? Primarily, yes, executives.
Primarily. Yeah.
Okay, executives on how to and you do it in different ways on how they would land a job, correct?
Correct.
Right, and that's through writing. It's through coaching having their resume done, and through kind of and we're going to talk about the disc stuff in a minute. But how has that changed since all of this craziness where people are leaving jobs and becoming entrepreneurs? And is it harder or is it easier or
It's a little bit different. So the mass exodus, the Great Resignation, is not necessarily about executives. They're talking about it's really about middle management and lower. It's really
Mhm.
staff that we're talking about that did a lot of the resigning.
Right,
So we're talking about executives who have to not just re-engage new employees or try to bring those employees back, but they have to make strategic decisions about their companies that to make sure that doesn't happen again.
right,
So and some executives as a result of this complication are considering other jobs. So there's sort of a mixture of how do I work to get my employees back, but also they're all leaving. Why shouldn't I consider something else? So
right,
maybe I want to be on a board somewhere now, or maybe I want to do nonprofit work, or
right.
maybe I want a different job than I've been doing. So it's a mixed bag.
Gotcha. That's interesting. Yeah. So if I were to be searching for, the one thing that that you said earlier that caught my eye was you had talked about a client that you just had where you were excited because you landed a specific job for
Mm.
that person.
Mhm.
Now, so if I come to you and I have that specific job, what does that look like in your guidance as far as that
What
goes?
the first thing I do is I have them send me their current resume, even if like you haven't looked for a job in a long time because I've worked with that before. So I have them send me their current resume, which may be 10 years old.
Right.
Whatever the most recent version is, I have them send it to me. Then I have them send me the job that they're looking to apply to. Sometimes there's a total disconnect, and I have to let them know this is not really appropriate for you. They're looking for A, B, and C. And while you may have it, it's not on your resume anywhere. And they're looking for really specific skills here. So let's talk through that and see if you're really a fit. But if they are a fit, I compare the resume to the job posting. If they are a fit, then I explain to them how they go about adapting their resume to that specific position.
Hmm. Okay, and so this specific job, so besides adapting the resume, what else did you do to get this person to? You said this person
Well, this
landed that.
is where the DISC stuff comes in. This is where just being a certified DISC practitioner comes in because it's not just about the hard skills on the resume, especially for executives. It's also
Right,
about leadership. It's about how you lead people, what your specific skills are as a leader. And what that means is how you deal with challenges, how you influence people's decisions, how you deal with data and research. And how you lead teams. Are you great? Are you good at forwarding the agenda and make sure everyone's on the same page? These are all specific skills. We all have them. We all have each of these skills in us. It's just a matter of how different we each are. And so I use this. I have my clients take this DISC assessment, which only takes a few minutes, and then the information from that report then informs the resume and informs their questions during an interview and anytime they talk to anyone during the hiring process. They not only will talk about their specific skill set, technical skill set, but then they can also talk about what makes them the best leader, the best person for this position.
Okay, so what is DISC specifically?
So DISC is an assessment like Myers-Briggs, like Strength Finders, like Predictive Index, except that DISC stands for four communication styles, which means dominant, influencer, sustainable, and compliance. And as I said, we have all four of them in all of us, but it's a matter of how much we have of each style in us individually. And so with these assessments, we can determine your specific leadership strengths, your specific power profile. And with that, with the report, you also get how your specific style influences or impacts other people with a different style, so that when you get to that next job, you understand how others are different from you, not better, not worse,
Right.
just different, and therefore how you can all get along better.
So I kind of, if it's what I think it is, and as you said, it's like I'm not even sure. I forget. I might have taken it at some point. I don't remember what I am. But when I'm is part of it is if I'm interviewing, I'm supposed to recognize what that person is and adjust my talk to that
Just
person.
the way you're talking to them. If you're talking to someone who walks in the room and says, "Sit down, let's talk, let's go for it,"
Right.
that's a dominant personality, and they want things short and quick and to the point and stats right there. If you walk into an interview and someone goes, "Hey, come on in, let's talk. Tell me about yourself. What's going on with you?" That's an influencer,
Right.
and they want to be more social. If you're talking to someone who's a little more quiet and says, "Okay, so here's what we do with the company. We like to," and they go on about teamwork. Then you're talking to them about how you're communicating with everybody and how you set the agenda and make sure everybody's talking. If you walk into the room and says, "Okay, we are a Fortune 100 company. Here's what we want. We have this many employees. We have this many people that are running in line for this job. Here's what the job entails. Here are the details." That's more than you would want to talk more about the statistics from your life, statistics from your accomplishments, more numbers. So there's just the way you're relaying information to the person.
It's interesting because I don't know if I actually tried it, but I don't think it's as easy said than done, right? Because
Well, you have to practice, and that's where the
right.
report helps, because there's information in the report about others' styles who are different from your own, from your profile. And so it actually, it's meant to be read over and over and over again, and you can then notice others' styles and give them the information accordingly.
So it's not distracting when you're in an interview and you're trying to go, well, that was more of an I, but that was a D. And do you know what I mean?
It's getting used to it, just like getting used to working with other people, just like you have to get used to working with someone who works slower than you or faster than you.
Hmm.
Getting used to other people.
So, and has anybody come back to you and said, wow, I switched up like normally I would have been like A, but I switched up to B and they loved me and I got the job. Does that happen? Is that?
I haven't heard it that specifically, but I've definitely I've noticed an improvement where people say, "Oh my God, I aced it. Like I walked in
Mhm.
so nervous and I
Right.
aced it. And
Right.
thank you so much for your coaching." It's more general like that.
Right. But and it's with this though, it's not just for recruiting, right? Or it's not just for
Oh,
getting a
it's for
job.
anything. It's
It's
for
for anything.
any, as the owner of the company that does my reports likes to say, if your job involves people, then you want a DISC
Right.
report, then it's helpful.
Okay, so now now we're getting into my wheelhouse because this is something that I probably need to do for when I sell my digital cards, correct?
Oh, it helps. It helps
Mhm.
everywhere.
Right. Now let me ask you a question. You have a digital card. When during that sales process, were you ever going, well, he's not reacting to my cues. He's not. He's. Do you ever put it in those terms in your own head? Do you know what I mean? Where
Well,
I'm a certain way and
yes,
he's talking a different way.
where it actually helped is when before I took before I became a licensed disc practitioner, I would
Right.
get emails from someone who wasn't my style, and I would be like, "What? What are they? No, that's offensive." And then when I started studying for it, and I started becoming aware of this human behavior, that's when I started looking back and going, "Oh, that's why that person said that."
Right.
Or that's why that happened, or that's why they use those words. And um, it became more apparent to me about what's going on. And now I'm like hyper alert to it. Now, if someone's short an email, I'm short back, but short in a way that I know from their language, from reading their email, or having talked to them maybe in an introductory call. I will now understand better how they speak, and
Right.
I can give it to them the way they give them the information the way they want it.
But my tendency, though, I know, and this is probably not so good, but when rightly or wrongly, when people get on a call with me and I'm talking about our digital cards, sometimes they'll say, just, oh, yeah, I have enough information. I'll go, wait, I want to tell you more. I want them to know all the value. And a lot of times they're sending me signals is that either I don't
Right,
even need it, right?
right,
Or like I'm already sold on it or whatever. But even when they say, yes, I want to buy it, I say, well, let me tell you all the other stuff you're
right.
gonna get.
No, I've done that. I've totally done that, and now I just listen to their voice. A lot of my introductory calls are about me, even though they're short, about me listening to them. Are they stressed? Do they normally sound like this? What's going on behind the voice? What's going on behind the way they're saying things? So that I do a lot of that in the introductory call, trying to determine their needs quickly.
Interesting. So it's something because as I said, this is a tool that, as I said, everybody can use. Anybody that's listening
Anybody for any
can
reason
can
related
use
to
this.
interpersonal issues.
So assuming that most of the people that are on this call are listening to this call are interested in becoming a better salesperson,
Right.
right? Um, I'm just trying to put it in those terms where so what so the way I start is for the way I normally do it is I'll start talking about them just and socially. I'll ask them about sometimes I ask them where they're from or how they find me, and ask them what's what I don't. It's not like what's the weather, but you I mean it's small talk, but it might be something that other connection that we have that has nothing to do with our cards, and I might go on for quite some time doing that. And I do it not just as a formula. Do you know what I mean? It's more because I'm naturally interested, but I don't think I should just go dive into just, selling them the second that I do it. So far so good? Or
Well,
do I have to
so
listen?
far, so good. What I like to start with people is, why did you come to me?
Right.
What do you need? Like after the small talk, hi, how are you?
Right.
So you came to me for however way they came. How can I help you? What do you need? Because that question, they'll inevitably start talking to me about what's going on with them. And
Okay.
that gives me a lot of information to help them.
Okay. Well, that's good. I have to write that one down. I do have a sales call later. um and so I think I do that. I have done that before where I say, well, how can I help you or whatever. Um and then I just I know that I've kind of sort of tried to do this, but I guess as you say, it's based on practice, right?
Oh,
Um,
practice, practice, practice. Read the report, read the report, read the report, the disc report, if I've done one for you.
mhm.
Practice, 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 read, read, read. Keep doing it over and over and over again. You will get used to it. You do get used to it.
Okay.
It's a practice thing.
So generally for because I think I'm an extremely detailed oriented person,
Okay.
right? So generally, that's my biggest problem when somebody's the opposite.
Oh, you're not the only one that has that issue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually an influencer. My core is influencer and team player, but influencer is like way up there,
Right.
talker. So if I work with someone who is slower and wants to talk about numbers, I'm sitting there with my hands. You can't see it on the table. I can't see it on my chair, but I'm going like
Right.
this. If someone's talking about numbers to me, I'm going, when do
Right.
I
Right.
talk? When do I talk? And it has taken, again, practice, knowledge, or being used to getting used to listening to the person, listening to their tone, listening to what they're saying, and really understanding what they're saying, what they need before I speak. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there with all this energy in my body, waiting to talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk, talk, talk. Fingers going like this.
Right. Right.
But I am patient. I'm trying to patiently listen to them. And that's a crucial part of interpersonal relationships, is listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So especially someone who is different from you.
Right. But so my thing is then, and my tendency again is to get out all the features and benefits and all that. But if I do read that that's not them. If they send me a cue, do I stop doing that?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
ask them what they need. That's that first
Okay.
question. Why did you come to me? What do you need? And if they say, oh, well, I just kind of need this because I want to get my name out there. And that's it.
Right.
That's it. That's what they need. They need to get their name out there. That's the only reason why they're getting the card. They don't need more information from you. If they say to you, hey, can you tell me what your sales are? Can you tell me what's been going on? How many
Right.
people have you done this for? That
Right.
kind of thing. Then you can get into numbers.
Gotcha. Interesting. Because again, the tendency then is well, if all they want to do is get their information out there, then they can use a different digital card.
Yeah, but they came to you.
Mm-hmm.
They came to you because you're the expert at this.
Right. Right.
You've already sold them. If they say, all I need is to get my name out there.
No, I haven't sold them. If they came to me, I haven't sold them yet. Right. That this is when I do when I do the interview or the sales. This is part of the sales process. A lot of the times that they can do say, oh, I'll think about it. Then they go see, oh, this other card's cheaper. I'm going to buy that because
Oh,
all he said was is that it gets your name out there. He
if
didn't talk about all those other features that
right,
blow
no,
them
that
away.
I get. Then yes, you would give them a little bit of information. But again, you're watching to see, or you're listening to hear what their response is to your information. If you go on for a few minutes about your features and they're just going, uh-huh,
Right.
uh-huh, uh-huh, then you're then you're not selling them anymore.
Gotcha. Interesting. Um, so let's look at some of the questions you had written for me.
Okay.
Okay, so I did ask my questions. So DISC has traditionally been used to improve communication in the corporate environment. How else can you use it?
All right. So as we've spoken about, you can use it on resumes to ask both to put soft skills on the resume, to put soft skills in the LinkedIn profile. But in that process, when you're finding out and asking questions based on the DISC assessment, based on the report, you're also giving the person, the job searcher, information about um, their soft skills that they can use during an interview. So when they get that ridiculous question of why do you want to work here, or tell me about yourself, or something vague like that, instead of talking about their passion and they're a team player and they love the company, they can go into specific details about those soft skills, about how their specific leadership has impacted the companies that they've worked for so far. But it also helps with I said, interpersonal relationships. People go to therapy, like a counselor, and can use DISC reports for counseling. Any time, any place that there is person on person or person on people situations, DISC will help.
So are you saying that you should give the report as part of your resume? Are you
Yeah, you can. People have. Or
really?
they'll take a section of it that there's a page on, or two pages on the report that gives bullet points of your specific strengths, and then gives on the second another page gives more detailed written information about your strengths. And people have handed that in. People have handed in the entire report to a potential employer to say, here's what I'm good at and here's the proof. Because DISC is data backed, it's EEOC compliant, it's all this great stuff that's trustworthy where other reports are not, and therefore it's reliable. So if you say in an interview or you say in your resume that you're a team player, everyone says that they're a team player, right? Everyone says they're great at communication.
Sure.
Not everyone is a team player. Not everyone is great at communication.
Right.
The report says, here's my proof.
Right. Now, that's really interesting, actually. I'd never heard of it in terms like that. So can somebody just come to you and say, oh, I just want a DISC report. Can you do that for me? Oh, they can?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
There's also, because there's different forms of a DISC report. We were talking about sales earlier. There's also part of the company that I use, Profiling Pro. They also provide a sales IQ report, which is awesome for salespeople. Tells them how assesses their skills in every part of the sales life cycle. It's fantastic. So there's sales and sales IQ, but there's also something called career management, which is you don't know what to do next, or you're not sure you're in the right place, or you don't know what to do with your life. This career management report, again, all based on communication preferences, gives you a report on where you could be next.
So given this, I'm actually thinking of referring you to somebody for the for the sales IQ report. Now, how does that work? I mean, what it tells them what they're good at, and
again, it's an assessment like the DISC. So there's no good or bad. It's what your strengths are, and then what your specific items are that you want to work on. That might be a little less strong, shall we say, polite way of saying it. But it gives very specific instructions and training along with the assessment on how you could improve and why. It's a really cool report.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to mention it to a couple of people that I could, and I'm sure I could use it myself as well. So what is it? How does it differ between, the DISC and Myers-Briggs and all these other ones?
Okay, so DISC is based on your communication style, your communication and soft skills. I can't go into details on all of them because I'm not certified in all of them.
Right.
But Strength Finder is another good one. Predictive index based on your current behavior, based on your current personality, what's going to happen in the future with you. That's predictive index. And then Myers-Briggs, I believe, is about personality and interior stuff. But again, I can't speak to all of it. I don't want to misstate anything. I just can speak to DISC.
And what pushed you in that direction to start using the DISC assessments?
So the company that I use, Profiling Pro, she was talking about it because she's also a member of the association, the Resume Writers Association that I belong to. So she had been posting things, and I said, "What's up with this?" And we started talking. And at first I said, "I don't need this. My clients give me plenty of information. I don't need this." And then she ran a report on me to show me what the report does. And I was like, oh, not only was it completely accurate and nailed me, but I was like, oh, I do need to improve on this. Oh, wow, this is right. And it was scary how accurate it was. And that's also the response I get from executives who are like, oh, yeah. So I started using it, and it's amazing how much their interviews improved. As I said, they came to me afterwards and said, "Oh my God, I was so nervous, but I nailed it because of the coaching." But also their resume improves and their LinkedIn profile improves because I can ask about more information from them. They can give me more specific and better content and information about their expertise. And that helps them on the paper, and then also helps them, as I said, during interviews to demonstrate more information that promotes them better.
How long does it take to do one of these assessments?
A couple of minutes.
Really?
Like there are different versions of it, but it takes anywhere from, I'd say the mini takes 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe the longest one takes 10 to 15 minutes.
Wow.
But it's online. It's almost like a game that you're playing. It's
Uh-huh.
pretty cool.
Interesting. Well, what if somebody wants to look a different way? Can you cheat at it, or can you throw it off? Or
No, well, people have tried, but I can tell by the resulting graph that comes out. I can tell when they've tried to cheat. If they're trying to, it's hard to cheat because the way the program is set up, you're dealing with a lot of words and they're a little bit repetitive. So it would be hard to remember what you're doing with all of the words. So it's a little bit hard to cheat, but people do. And I can tell by the graph. It comes out completely even like this. Well, all the bars are the same. Then I go, okay, what were you thinking about when you did this? And then they'll admit it. They'll say, well, I'm trying to look good. And I said, there's no good and there's no bad. DISC is not about good versus bad. Good is a personal assessment about your strengths.
Interesting. And what are some misconceptions about DISC that would stop people from using it?
First of all, it's a test. Again, no right or wrong answers. That it's going to make them look mean, that it's going to make them look bad, that it's a stress thing and they don't want to take another test while they're doing this job hunting stuff. That kind of stuff. All just negative, like only because they don't know about it. They don't know what it is. So there's a lot of misconception about it. And they think, what if I get something wrong? Or, all the usual test stuff. That's why I tell them it's not a test, not good or bad. It's an assessment. It can only help you.
Okay. So besides, I was looking at your LinkedIn and besides the, when you say executive coaching, is it just in terms of how it relates to DISC and getting a job, or is there anything else that you go into?
It starts off as that often. It starts off as, oh, I want a resume, or, oh, I want a resume in LinkedIn. But then when we add the DISC part of it and we get into soft skills and leadership skills, then sometimes it gets into another realm, as in like, oh, I really want to do what I want to do. I really want to do this, or I really want to do. Sometimes it changes the nature of what they're job searching for. I've had more than one client say to me, I really didn't like doing that. Oh, and I really didn't like doing that. I don't think I like my job. In fact, I don't think I like my field. I want to go and do something else. And I say, okay, that means we got to start from scratch, but let's do this. So sometimes people treat it like psychotherapy, almost like counseling. They'll talk to me about their problems and their issues and how it affects their personal life and all of this. And they will thank me at the end because I brought it all up for them.
Well, how if they go into something totally different with no experience, how does that work?
Because sometimes skills are transferable and it depends on what that something different is. You have to understand also, a lot of people don't understand about career coaching and they don't understand about resume writing and job searching. So what they think is a completely different field turns out to be not a completely different field, just a slightly different type of company.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I can see that. So, let's see, what else do I have? All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Did you in the beginning you said you loved talking about this stuff and you could talk about it forever and ever, which is great when you're passionate about what you do. I'm the same way. Is there something else you want to add to it so you can talk about it some more?
I could talk about it forever. I just want to emphasize that a lot of people, and you and I talked about this a little bit before we started the interview.
Right.
A lot of people think of resume writing and the whole job search process as going to the dentist, as in they're going to find cavities, or it's something bad going to happen. Is it going to be painful? Am I going to have to pay a larger bill than just a checkup? That kind of stuff. And what I'm saying is, it usually is not that painful. It can be a little bit intense because what you're doing is, as I said, 99% of resumes that come to me and in general are badly written.
Right.
And recruiters have a hard time reading them. So we're making your resume better, but we're making it visually more pleasing, but we are also making it easier for you to make yourself unique, for you to sell yourself. And that's actually not that hard. I ask the right kinds of questions. That's what the coaching is. If you don't get it the first time, I ask it again, and I ask it another way, because I'm just trying to help you find your value and state your value in a way that people want you.
Right.
That's what's going to make you different from the other candidates. Your template is not going to make you different. They've seen the templates. They know what the templates look like. The colors aren't going to make you different. What's going to make you different is, yes, your attitude. If you're in a field that you love, that's going to show up in your face, in your voice, in your attitude. And then if you're in a place that you love, you will look better. But also, you want to go into the details of your expertise. It's not enough to say, I did X. Every executive did X. You want to say how doing X improved the company at the time. And that's your value add. That's your expertise. And that's what recruiters and hiring managers and executive recruiters, which are different than regular recruiters, they want to sink their teeth into that. Give them something to think about. Give them something to go, oh, she did that. We need that at our company.
Right.
That's impressive. That's where you make yourself different, not in the templates, not in the attitude. That's where you make yourself different, is in the details of explaining your impact on the company and those around you.
Okay.
That's your value add. That's your value proposition.
Gotcha. So my last question is, since many of my listeners or watchers, whatever you want to call them, will be entrepreneurs. So how can this help a person just like myself, or either a solo entrepreneur or
Right.
a person who has a company? How can this help them?
It's kind of the same thing, but you don't necessarily need a resume. You do want a LinkedIn profile, though. You do want a LinkedIn profile, because a LinkedIn profile skills can be searched, or a client could search you. So I suggest a LinkedIn profile would be important for that.
Right.
But it's also, again, about your value add. Why is your company different? What are you offering people that your competition is not offering? What do you do better? And then you have to back that up with, I'm really good at X, and as a result, Y happened. Giving a prospect, as an entrepreneur, giving a prospect specific details, specifics about the impact that you had on their lives or their business, is a huge selling tool. It's a huge selling point, and it's very attractive.
Yeah, you used the same word that Joe Beck used a couple of weeks ago when we interviewed him, was impact, and that's just something
that was a great session.
Yeah, it was. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, Soozy. This has been wonderful, and I just appreciate you being here. Again, to reach Soozy, you would text the word careers to 21,000 to get her digital card. And that's going to have all kinds of stuff on it. It's just a very easy way to get
Great card, everyone. You did a great job.
And if you know somebody who needs Soozy's help, that's all you have to tell them to do. Just text careers to 21,000.
That's right.
And if you are intrigued about the digital business card, then please text Gabe to 21,000. My calendar is right on my card. And just like Soozy, I love talking about it. And we can assess whether or not I'm disc proof, or whatever you want to call it. Whether or not I'm doing the right things, depending on what type of personality you are. But just know that I like details. So
right.
We'll start from there.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll see you guys next Monday live at 11. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day.